Have a great game. Success.
So Zhang is going to get us underway.
We play the best of
the
7
Mighty
frames.
Mouse.
First
How he
frame.
gets on here. He's playing
Zhang to break.
the most celebrated player in the game, Ronnie O'Sullivan. I was just chatting to Ronnie before the match. He was showing me his novel, Framed, which is out today. It's been published today. He's very excited about it. And was saying that if it's successful, could well be a series of them. So that's a whole new career opening up for him. But this is what he's known for, of course, at the snooker table. And that's what he's known for, knocking in a long red first shot.
Yes, beautifully played. Of course, there's always an element of getting the cue ball back up into bulk there. And the little flick on the brown means that the break ends there, but he's tucking in behind green.
Sullivan 1.
Played well last night, I thought. You know, it was always going to be a different match playing Jimmy White. I tell you, the intensity of that match was there. They both tried as hard as they possibly could, which of course you'd expect. There's no sentiment out there. He made a 1-4-1 break in frame 2 to settle his nerves. Sometimes the game just comes ridiculously easy to Ronnie. But Zhang is a decent player. Played at the Crucible on a couple of occasions. Was well known for that match against Stephen Hendry, which he could have won. He's been around longer than people think, I would say.
Yeah, he's a dangerous opponent for sure. Has offered up a chance here, though, for O'Sullivan. Which he knocks in. The novel I mentioned, it's loosely based on his life, which at times has read like a bit of a novel. I think he's at that stage where he still wants to play snooker, still wants to win, but also is looking at other avenues. Of course, he works with us here at Eurosport.
Seven.
Made sure he got on the red that was stopping the black going to both corner pockets and getting on it quickly. There's a secret to his success, apart from his brilliance, it's his shot selection. As I say, always early
14.
in a break, looking at the ball, the problem ball, to get out of the way or maybe get in behind to make things happen, and he does that very swiftly.
15.
So into the bunch. If he does go into it, it'll be the left hand red that he'd like to stun into. Didn't quite catch them as usually he does. I think he'd have played on the left red, they would have split even better than they have
22.
now. He's on one at close range to the middle, looks difficult. There's a thin cutback, which brings the cue ball right through bulk and back out again. Controlling the white is as difficult as the pot here. And there you can see the problem he had going into the green.
23.
Could be another snooker in behind a colour here. Keep the pressure on. Only looking at the table, realising that there's hardly a red that his opponent can just lay up to
23.
and getting out of this snooker.
Okay.
Yeah, well, the third shot he's played in this match. The first one was the break-off. The next two has been snookered.
Like I say, the side of the bunch usually is the way, but look at these reds. How can he possibly get one safe here? Well, that's fairly safe, but I'm afraid he's going to have to do it again, or, depending on whether Ronnie decides to play at long range, I don't think he'll get out of his chair. There's an argument here to hit these as hard as you can and hope to fluke one, because all the plans can just go wrong playing with a strategy.
Foul and a miss. Ronnie O'Sullivan 4.
Not entirely sure I know which red he's trying to hit. He might be trying to come 3 cushions into the red at the bottom of the right, the little bunch. But they're all spread so loosely. Didn't really threaten on the first 2 attempts. Make that the first 3 attempts.
Foul and a miss. Ronnie O'Sullivan 4.
I think it might be time to just go the sledgehammer route here. Hit them hard as you can. You see, that's the problem. You know, he's hit a red and he's left one, an easy one. So he didn't really take any sort of a risk. He was in a lot of trouble, though, having said that.
Could be in a bit more in the next few minutes.
Five. Six.
O'Sullivan and Higgins could play in the quarter-finals. They're currently tied on 28 ranking titles each. The last 2 tournaments Higgins won weren't ranking events. They're tied with their great hero Steve Davis in 2nd place on the all-time list behind Stephen Hendry, of course now retired, on 36.
13.
It has been a rivalry, as John Higgins was saying in the studio. It's been a friendly enough one, but they've
14.
kind of pulled each other along over the years, and Mark Williams as well. 25th season for these 3 great champions.
Yes, I spoke with John Higgins recently about this, and I was in an interview, and
21.
he said that they're not friends, and he didn't mean that they're enemies. They're not close friends, you know. They're
22.
work colleagues, if you like, if that's the right way to describe them. But there's an absolutely mutual respect. I don't think they've ever had a cross word. They probably mix in different circles, you know, equally good at what they do.
It's a little bit like Davis and Hendry. They're probably, the 3 of them, become really good friends when they've retired and there's no more competition, because Davis and Hendry didn't used to speak to each other when they were playing at the top level. Now, good pals. No reason not to be.
30.
Now, one thing Ronnie has done here in these better 7s, and it's crucial to do it, is stamp your authority on a match early. Oh, Zhang has been in some pretty evil snookers, and the frame is gone already before he's really got into the match.
38.
You don't start well in the best of 7, you're always chasing the game.
Yes, he broke off, and the next 2 times he was at the table, he was snookered. And the last several attempts, last time, left that red on. Frame over.
45.
Yes, he's got this novel out, but I suspect there are several more chapters left to be written in his snooker career.
46.
He can make a century if he wants to, and what he needs to do is ensure that high value colours are taken with all the remaining 3 reds.
51.
Can afford to drop 2 points.
52.
That means 2 pinks or a blue, but everything else with the black.
$59. 60.
So like I say, black with this,
65.
exactly 100 is possible.
66. 73.
Of course, O'Sullivan has won
75.
a ranking event here in Northern Ireland, the Northern Ireland Trophy. Last time it was staged, 2008. That's the
78.
Waterfront Hall. It's not going to be a century. He misses the ground, but a great start. He really dominated that frame
The first frame.
in every department, and that 78 break, more than enough to give the Rocket the opening frame. He leads Zhang here in Belfast by 1-0.
Frame 2. Ronnie O'Sullivan to break.
The Rocket has liftoff here in Belfast. 1-0 to Ronnie O'Sullivan. First to 4 to reach the last 16. Very busy day. He's taken 4 days to get to the last 32. By the end of the night, just 8 players will remain in this Northern Ireland Open. Of course, the corresponding day in Manchester at the English Open, it became Black Thursday for the seeds. A lot of big names tumbled, including O'Sullivan against Chris Wakelin. 2 rounds to be played. We shall see what happens over the course of the next few hours, but John Higgins already safely through. Of course, Mark Allen will be up in our 3rd TV match here against Robin Hull after this one.
Well, he's covered up that red on the right with the brown, which is, I'm sure, a great relief to Zhang. Hasn't seen a ball yet, as we've said. Absolutely nothing to go at. His pot success is 0 from 0. And even here, I'm not sure whether he can get past the green to go for the same red.
No, I think that's the point with Zhang is we'll gauge his chances in the match when he actually gets a chance to pot something, assuming that will happen at some point. But of course, the longer it takes, the more pressure he's under.
Not close, but of course he's cold, I would say. Not so much in temperature, just in lack of table time.
He was actually closer going in the middle than the intended pocket.
Well, if he's on the pink to the middle, it's a very good shot. There really wasn't much room there to manoeuvre. Interesting what John Higgins was saying after his match about the table. There's a few big bounces off cushions. I think not so much that. I found it interesting that he said that when you're not playing quite as well as you can, you notice it more. And I think it's because what happens then is you're not in complete control of the cue ball. So you're using the cushions more and more to regain position, and that's when you notice the odd inconsistent bounce or whatever.
Seven. Eighth. 15. 16. 23.
Well, he seems to be very relaxed today. Last night was a little bit of a tense affair with his great friend Jimmy White.
24.
So he's come out and he's just looked very assured around the table in this frame and a bit we've seen. He's missed one pot so far, and that was at the end of the previous frame on the brown when he had a chance for a century. But in live play, he's not made a mistake of any kind.
32.
No, it was difficult playing Jimmy. It's hard to play someone who in any other circumstance you'd want to win. That's the point really we were saying about Higgins and Williams. You know, it's better in a way you're not friends or too good of friends with the players, because it's no room for sentiment out there. Remember Neil Robertson, he beat Joe Perry in the Wuxi Classic final 10-9 and was in floods of tears after because he denied Joe his first ranking title.
Well, it looked a good shot, a good split, but the Reds haven't really fallen very kindly. I don't know if he would risk that red up into the yellow pocket, the one that's above him now with awkward queuing. I'm sure he's looking to play a good safety shot and just to keep the pressure on, keep his opponent playing all his shots from the other end. I haven't seen Zhang play, even walk down to this end of the table yet.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 39.
Which is never a good sign.
No, O'Sullivan all season has played really disciplined snooker. It's funny, he keeps saying he's trying to play himself into form. A lot of people will be very happy with this form, but of course he has exceptional standards. Let's not forget though, he's been in 2 finals, came within a frame of winning European Masters, was runner-up last week to John Higgins in Coventry, champion of champions.
We were right down the line of that. It was lovely queuing. It only just crept in, but played it well. Interesting the way he sights there. He actually doesn't favour one of his eyes. He's right down the middle, which is quite rare for a snooker player, not to just favour left or right eye. I know that Steve Davis was someone who queued straight down the middle, not like most other players. Anyway, this shot is even more difficult than the red. The pressure's on. If he misses this, he does potentially more damage. Fine shot. Well, if you're not going to be given a chance, and when he came to the table he didn't have one, you've got to make your own chances, clearly.
Yes, I remember Zhang, first time he qualified for the Crucible, beat Ricky Walden in the final qualifying round, and he finished off with 2 centuries under intense pressure at the English Institute of Sport in Sheffield. Just fantastic. This is a slightly different scenario on TV, but even so, he's a dangerous young player, I think.
He's unlucky there to have not got any further with that break. Yes, that was the year I was speaking about, wasn't it, where he played Stephen Hendry and took him close, which proved how good he was, and he's not quite gone on from there.
Beat Judd Trump though this season at the World Open in China. Wouldn't be regarded as one of the very leading Chinese players, but as I say, he is dangerous. He's had results.
That's a good safety shot. I think the problem is you've got a lot of Chinese players coming through, and we're looking for the next Ding Junhui or the next world champion to come from China, or the first, of course, in that case. But it doesn't mean that you can't be very good, earn a living, because we're searching, for the next superstar. He can't all be superstars. Some very decent players from China who are doing well out of the tour. It's another good shot to start a break.
Well, in the previous round, he beat Chris Wakelin, who, of course, beat O'Sullivan at the English Open.
4.
He's currently 84th in the world, so he's trying to haul himself up into the top 64 by the end of the season and thus stay on the circuit. There are a couple of other ways you can stay on, but that's the main one. It should be said, though, that Ronnie O'Sullivan in the really provisional rankings is actually outside the top 16. That's taking off
11.
all sorts of points. But just bear in mind, with the World Championship, of course, at the end of the season, it's only the top 16 guaranteed at the Crucible. Oh dear. Well, after some good pots,
Zhang under,
he's
11.
missed that one.
Yeah, for no obvious reason. Just maybe thinking about getting the cue ball through the gap between the other red and the pink. Took his eye off the pot, perhaps. Yes, I think I'm sure that Ronnie's got it in his mind that he might lose his place in the top 16. It wouldn't be on merit. It would be because he's not played in all the tournaments. I think if he plays in enough tournaments, he'll find his way back in there all right on those provisional rankings. He won't have to qualify. But of course, it happened to Ding last year or last season at the Crucible, so it can happen to anybody.
9.
That was a struggle, that red.
That's the thing with the ranking system. For those of you who don't know, it's a 2-year rolling
15.
system, so points come off. 2 years ago, Ronnie won the UK Championship, so those points come off. He's trying to compensate by putting more on again.
16.
All done through prize money.
So 43 the difference. Needs 2 reds from here.
23.
Any colour with this wouldn't be enough.
.24.
He's probably got his mind on that red up the table to the right middle. If he gets in behind it, it's not a bad shot. And he's gone a different way. He very rarely gets things wrong. That's beautiful. That's even better than playing on the loose red
31.
to get on that one. Wonderful cannon. And already
32.
he looks sharp.
Well, we've barely been going 24 minutes. Zhang did have a chance in this frame. Didn't get one in the first, but was in this frame. Missed the red to the pocket bottom right of your screen. And it was a big mistake. O'Sullivan looks very sharp. It's a different environment to last night when it was pretty tense against his great friend Jimmy White. This is another day, another match, but an excellent performance so far from Ronnie O'Sullivan.
42.
Doesn't matter about that, he's done the damage. Zhang Anda in frame 2 did have a chance, but ultimately it's gone the same way as the first did. And Ronnie O'Sullivan already halfway to victory, leading Zhang Anda here in Belfast by 2 frames to 0.
Third frame. Zhang Anda to break.
So Ronnie O'Sullivan leads Zhang Anda 2-0. Now, for those of you with second screens, if you head over to the Eurosport UK Facebook page, we're doing a Facebook Live. Matt Smith, Joe Johnson, Jimmy White are on the practice table. And they're attempting to replicate a billiard shot that Joe Johnson was showing us yesterday. So that should be a lot of fun if you head over to the Facebook page, Eurosport UK. Keep an eye on that while you're watching this match as well. I'd say that would be a little less serious than what we're watching here, but you never know with Joe and Jimmy.
He's a bit close to this. He's got a slight angle. But it's very difficult to manoeuvre that cue ball as he usually would be able to with the balls so close together. At the moment, he seems to be just struggling. He's putting good balls. He's not quite getting in behind the next shot. And, well, it was a point that John Higgins made. I thought quite graciously that it's been unfair occasionally for players who've been playing out on the non-televised tables, not even the secondary table, maybe playing their matches in different lighting in front of different audiences. Right over in the background there is where the other tables are. To be put into or onto the TV table under lights. It takes a bit of acclimatising.
I thought it was a very generous thing for him to say. I have to say I disagreed with him, though, because you earn your right to play on the main table through what you've achieved. Ronnie O'Sullivan, John Higgins, great champions, and tournament winners will find their way here. They all started, well, right at the very first qualifying round in the days when there were 10-12 qualifying rounds when the game was open in 1992. Long summers at the Norbreck in Blackpool, honing their craft. There's Zhao Yulong, who of course was beaten by John Higgins, just keeping an eye on proceedings here. Of course, we saw O'Sullivan showing a few of the Chinese players the ropes on the practice table.
Yeah, well, demonstrating shots like that, I think he was actually safety shots. That's another very good one. I mean, the red by the black, you can see a bit of it, but presumably not enough for him to attempt the pot. But now he's got to avoid them on the way up the table, playing safe. Check the plant, which doesn't seem to be on either. The two reds to the left corner. He's got to catch this thin. He doesn't want to go near the red and black. It's pretty good shot under the circumstances, and Ronnie acknowledges that.
While we're watching this, spare of thought for the referee Rene Tinger, not refereeing this match, but he was refereeing last night Anthony Hamilton against Ken Doherty, which finally finished at 1:40 AM. Hamilton won on the pink after Ken had got a couple of snookers. Last frame 51 minutes. I saw him at breakfast though, the ref. He seemed in reasonable spirits.
Had he been to bed, or had he just got back finishing up?
Well, I say at breakfast, this was about 10 o'clock, so it wasn't like first thing. Well, it's another good pot and plenty to go at here. Cue ball just flicked off the pink, finished well. But he had a chance previous frame, and when he missed, he didn't get another one. And if he breaks down here where the balls are, it could be 3-0. So he's under pressure to get involved in this match, to actually make a contribution here.
Once again, though, just not really in complete control of the cue ball. Always having to pull out a good shot to recover things. I guess compared to Ronnie O'Sullivan, most players are like that. Not quite got the same finesse. Like I said, I think he's just acclimatising, and unfortunately it's taken him a while. This will be another good shot, another good positional shot needed from it. That's unlucky. That really is unlucky. We kind of saw from that low camera angle that it was always on its way. There it is. Oh dear. Never really in control of that shot. Certainly could have done without that.
Just starting on the Eurosport player, it's Karen Wilson against the Thai Akani Song Serm Sawad, and the winner of that match will play the winner of this one in the last 16 this evening.
Six. Seven. Twelve. $13.
This is going to take a good shot to keep the break going. Well, he doesn't play as many rest shots as other players because he's got the left-handed option.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 13.
Usually he's pretty good with it, but just slightly overcut that one.
One. 6. Seven. Twelve.
Well, if he was brave, he could play the red off the other red to get the black out and get it into play. I don't necessarily think it is the shot, but certainly the shot is on to play the red off the other red. I can fully understand why 2-0 down it wouldn't be something he's thought too much about. But it's very difficult to win the frame where the balls are, and with the red and the black there, the red above it, you know, it's all blocking off that pocket, really. High value colours not available. And there you see it. I think he's got the option to play it again here, but this time it's even more difficult. So he's not really getting anywhere, unfortunately. A lead of 12 points, but that won't last long if O'Sullivan gets back in.
Zhang under 16.
Well, obviously looking for a thin edge.
Foul and a miss. Zhang under 4.
Zhang having a think here whether to have them put back. He is. Jan Shears is the referee. That's not, we're not doing the mannequin challenge there. That's where they were before, and it's slightly over to, needs to be slightly over to the left actually. Well, anyway, he's caught it, but well, not a bad flick either off the blue, to say the least. You certainly feel the worse for Zhang if he doesn't get on the scoreboard soon. Well, he's done well there. The cue ball close to that back cushion. Knocked it in.
1.
4 out of 5 for long potting. Yeah, he's. You can see Ronnie's 100%, but that's 2 out of 2. Zhang 4 out of 5.
Brown ball.
Well, it's taking the shape of the kind of frame that O'Sullivan not all that keen on, with fragmented play. But unfortunately,
Zhang under 1.
for Zhang, his lead of 17 points, he's not going to hurt Ronnie O'Sullivan just yet. If he can get the black into play, then he's well back into the frame. It's a very scrappy frame, this one, by his standards.
Yes, and also O'Sullivan seems to be harder and harder to frustrate. There was a time where it was relatively easy to get under his skin when matches went scrappy, but this season in particular he's been really disciplined. Because he is a great safety player himself.
Well, if the brown is potable to the right corner past those two reds, he might try and play on it from this red. Very awkward bridging here. I think the problem with frames like this is not so much always the player's not tolerant of them. It's quite easy to lose concentration because it's not anything you'd practice. The ball's going awkwardly. Zhang is not going to move the two reds by the black because he's a few points in front. Well, he's not unlucky to get a double kiss, because if you think it's on, it usually is.
One.
Well, for Ronnie to refuse the green, there really was no hope of getting onto a red, I'd say. And there's an example of what Dave was saying, that he is a terrific safety player when he resorts to it.
Well, he's just got a great snooker brain, very quick, instinctive, sees the whole table, sees the right shot to play.
Foul and a miss. Ronnie O'Sullivan, 4. One.
Well, the pot at that speed was the best part about it. Oh, yes, well, this is what I mean. How can he get the balls open so easily?
5.
Two great shots, very adventurous shots. As you can see, the other red is now in play also.
6.
The point I was making, that the lead was not a big enough one for Zhang. He struggled for a long while to just get a small advantage, and it's wiped away him almost immediately.
$11.
Have a feeling he tried to develop the other red
12.
there. Well, this will be some shot. If he can pot a bolt colour here and move the red out, it'll be a brilliant shot. Well, it is a brilliant shot. I don't know if he's on it, but I'll tell you what, that took some skill. Majestic shot on the ground. Honestly, he made it look simple, but it's one of the best shots I've seen this week.
17.
No room in playing the cannon to actually make the red potable after it. At times, the man's an absolute genius for me.
Well, where the balls were when he came to the table, to win the frame in one visit didn't really
21.
look on, but looks like he's going to. Doesn't need the pink.
23.
Yes, I think looking at the scores, Davies just realised that as well. He doesn't need the pink, which helps.
26.
I think a lot of players would
30.
have put their opponent back in, because the miss had been called. He smashed the red in the middle pocket. Within a few shots, he's won the frame. Remarkable.
Well, there are other players involved, of
35.
course, but he's on a bit of a collision course with John Higgins in the quarter-finals. Of course, they met in the final last week in Coventry.
Ronnie
Two of them
O'Sullivan,
playing the
35.
best snooker of the tournament. Zhang's having a look here. He's 23 behind, so he needs 2 snookers. He looks a bit punch drunk by what he's just seen there, because the table was basically safe.
I think what it is, you know, you see a little break and you think, well, that wasn't anything, was it? It was just a small break, 30 or 40. But sometimes they're better than centuries when they're made in that way.
Yes, there were several really good shots, but the one where he freed the brown off the, sorry, from the brown, freed the red off the side cushion, particularly special. Well, the black's over the pocket, so he's conceded. Well, there's a really good little break he put together from a very unlikely situation there, O'Sullivan. And Zhang has got it all to do, to say the least, because Ronnie O'Sullivan is leading 3-0. Well, a terrific break we've just seen from Ronnie O'Sullivan. Look where the balls are here. This is how it started. This wasn't a gimme to start with. Crashes the red in the middle. But so much work to be done. He frees those two. Then this was the shot from brown to red. The judgment of pace, of angle. Leaves himself that little cut and went on to do enough down to the blue to make it 3-0. Brilliant stuff.
Frame 4.
And he needs 1 for victory.
Ronnie O'Sullivan to break.
I think he went for that. He was not very close to it. These may be short matches, and we know that best of 7 is not the true test, but it's enough time for the class to shine through. And there's another fine shot. He actually was saying yesterday that the tip he thought on his cue was a little soft, a little spongy.
5.
It didn't seem to affect him too badly in his first match. He played okay last night as well against Jimmy White.
6.
But what it will do, it'll get firmer, it'll play in. The longer he's in the tournament, the more he'll feel at home with it. And he was saying that he hopes that by the end of this tournament, hopefully if he's still in it, and indeed the UK Championship, it should be spot on. And that
13.
Any snooker player will tell you that that is as important as anything. When your tip is feeling at its best, they're always a bit of a sponge when you put them on, and it takes a bit of bedding
14.
in.
$17. 18.
Well, into the bunch. And it's worked out pretty well. Reds haven't really split. One's gone safe. join the other one on the cushion, but he's still at the table. What can he pull out of the hat here? Not sure about that shot for him.
24.
With the black not available to the left corner, he didn't have many options. Well, he's trying to conjure up some magic here. Played the cannon.
29.
That left-hand red. He may still try and drop this in down the cushion rail. It's tight. Sometimes helps. That's not in.
Ronnie O'Sullivan.
A rare
29.
mistake. Unfortunately, for Zhang, things are going from bad to worse. What if Ronnie's got the shot to swing the cue ball into the bunch from this? And he's using all his control most of the time, so not playing that shot. But to get the reds open will be his objective. Might be able to play it here on the yellow, 2 cushions. Fabulous shot, once again.
3.
Goodness me.
4.
How quickly things change in a frame. Only this man can do it for me. And how quickly he sees the shot as well. Within a split second, he knows what shot he's going to play.
All those threats to retire that he's made
17.
in his career, thank goodness he didn't follow through on them. Took that one season out, but came back at the end of it
18.
and won the World Championship again.
This has been a stroll in the park for Ronnie O'Sullivan. He started it so well, I think. The way he played the first frame didn't let Zhang get into
24.
it. And his opponent has never settled, but Ronnie is, once again, he's not been dazzling, but there's been some beautiful touches along the way.
29.
Well, he looks relaxed. He's playing terrifically well. As I say, it's you're thinking at the moment it's between him and John Higgins in that quarter-final. They're not through yet. They've each got to win a match tonight, but it's shaping up for a clash of the Titans tomorrow.
36.
Yes, and of course Mark Williams in that little section as well, playing John, isn't he? So all of those great players are very closely matched, where other parts 41. Of the draw not so.
Yeah, it's not so much a quarter of the draw as a pantheon of the greats. This match, as you just saw, not 42. Been going 53 minutes.
.48. 49. 56.
Oh, well, this is just brilliant stuff. Really is.
57.
He's completely in control of his emotions, which, of course, for Ronnie O'Sullivan is particularly important. And his game is looking as good as ever based
64.
on this match. Right from the start, he's just
66.
laid down his authority. Zhang barely got a shot first frame. That set the pattern. He's had chances here and there, but that third frame, we saw the break O'Sullivan made to win it. Wasn't much, 35, but my word, it was quality all the way. Even by his imperious standards, this has been a brilliant performance by Ronnie O'Sullivan. And he is through the last 16 of the Northern Ireland Open in double quick time. Just 54 minutes for the match. He looks relaxed. He's playing some terrific snooker as he signs a few autographs. We'll see him tonight. He's beaten Zhang brilliantly by 4 frames to 0.